So that was a little bit of a hectic start to the round. We have the Yuyuko getting randomly tagged by a 5C, then getting hit and limited, but the Komachi whiffs and then tries to mash on Wake Up. The only right thing happening here is that the Yuyuko doesn't fall for the air unblockable. That was kind of sick, actually. So the Komachi used Dial A, but instead of the last hit of Dial A, she uses the Endless Way, which has a very, very similar frame animation, as you can see here. So it ended in a really confused Yuyuko that just kind of got hit by it, due to sheer confusion. Aha! So we see the same setup being attempted again by the Komachi. So Dial A, but the last hit is replaced by Endless Way, but we can see that the Yuyuko has adapted to this in the following sequence. So we see 3 hits and Endless Way, but the Yuyuko knows. That was a really good adaptation on such a short notice, especially in a tournament setting. That's really important here. Good pressure, good catch from the Komachi. You don't really see the C version of this Alt 623 being used so well, but it does quite a bit of damage if you get it off correctly, which this Komachi did. Nice. When we are dealing with conversions after a crush, the last thing you want to do is use meter to give yourself literally 300 damage more for 4 cards. That was a really good pressure, actually. I stand corrected. This Yuyuko has shown a lot of competence in the mix-ups here. You can see the dash forward being used to bait the idea of a 4A, and then immediately after that, as soon as the Komachi gets down to 1 orb, that is replaced with a 6C into a catch in the form of the air unblockable default 623. That is a really, really nice way to do mid-screen pressure as a Yuyuko. That's a really textbook example of it, and it was very well executed. So we have the final instance of this mix-up, the Dial A Komachi into the Endless Way. Now, this is the part where people, oh, it's Dial A, why didn't you block this? So if somebody dies to Dial A here, they're either not blocking or they're expecting something like the Endless Way. So that is what happened there. That's why the Yuyuko didn't block. The Yuyuko was expecting a 2-2 skill and thus tried to graze it. That was the incorrect move to do there. Should have blocked. So what happened there, that was just a really good example of what can happen if you just get yourself caught up in Suika's endless resets. You need to understand in this matchup that you can't just keep air teching. It's only going to end in you kind of messing up more and getting hit needlessly and letting Suika posture more and get more ground on you. Sometimes even getting knocked down is ideal, especially if Suika's throwing around those C bullets, because if one of those hits you, you are out like 2 or 3 orbs if it hits you right. It is not a joke. So what we saw there was this Suika basically expertly dodging around and just completely avoiding the delay bolts. And that was very well done. The C bullet, again, giving a lot of cover for Suika. And I can imagine that this bullet is about to hit. Oh, no, it was a graze. Yeah, that was just good movement. That was very good movement from Suika. So we can see a lot of maneuvering around Iku's blind spots here. And the mix-up into the J5A was very well done. That was a really nice conversion here. Suika getting hits off of like C bullets is really difficult. Getting like any meaningful hit confirms off of that, but you can see here, it was done so well. So we start out with the B bullet counter hit, and we get the J5A, J6A after being juggled up by the C bullets. That was probably RNG more than anything, but it was still really cool to watch. So the reason why Suika was able to get away with so much pressure here was that basically she didn't have to worry about Iku doing anything offensive because she was holding on to Atlas this entire time. And that's ultimately what led her to the amount of momentum that she had to win the round. So overall, this Suika and Iku, Ari versus Felt, the Iku needs to kind of work on being more comfortable with the movement of this Suika. So Suika is a character who can very easily get all up in your face, but can also hit you with bullets from afar. So it's really helpful to discern which is which at any given moment, and that's something that the Iku definitely needed to adapt to, is understanding when the Suika was going to engage and when the Suika was just zoning. But that's about it.